Bamman,
Here.
Commissioner Gooch,
Here.
Commissioner McAdoo, Commissioner Key,
Here.
Commissioner Buchanan,
Here.
Chairman Ketchum.
Okay, I'll entertain approval of the minutes. Everybody read the minutes.
I just signed them.
Okay.
So my motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Card or anything? Just got a second. Any changes or deletions? Or additions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, next item is the inmate food service, Sheriff's Office, which was taken at the last meeting. We took it under advisement, so Ms. Preble could sit down and go over that, along with our other two institutions that need food on a daily basis. So we have before you
Spotlight.
three different companies, or two companies, right? Some-
I did not, because Tiger was so much higher,
Yes, ma'am.
about 10 cents over trend, well, 13 cents over trend, so I threw them out already.
So they're not on
These are
there.
the first and second.
First and second, all right. You want to lead off, Bill, or?
Bill, y'all go
Well,
first, 'cause
we-
I have more complaints than y'all.
We've been with Summit for, I don't know, probably,
Since
oh, no, it's been,
2012.
When they were ABA.
yeah, that goes back to ABL, so it's 15 years or so. We haven't had any significant raises in food price with them, and there was a small one a couple of years ago, so we're expecting a raise anyway.
It's coming.
It's coming, and we put it off as long as we could.
Bacon stuff.
And they've been very easy to work with as far as that's concerned. It's very rare that we get any complaints on food service. I know that our experience is a lot different than the sheriff's office. But it's very rare that we get any complaints on the actual product and the preparation. Now, I know that Trinity they're a sister company to one of the companies that we work with on one of our other providing services, and we've had great experience working with them too. But looking at those numbers, I mean, that's a huge raise. I mean, we're talking about Summit's already going to be about 40% higher when we go with the new raise in those prices, and you're talking about close to, 100% or more on the other ones. To me, in the long run, it just makes more sense to stay with who we have. And we can work to ensure with that company that they keep the right people in place. You've met our food service director, Mayor, and you know how we feel about her. She's just like one of our fellow employees.
Right, quite impressed with her. So,
You good?
Lynn?
We're so small potatoes compared to them. We've had very good luck with Summit. The Tiger is also way too expensive for us, but either Trinity or Summit would be fine for us,
You
honestly.
just get small potatoes.
Yes, small potatoes, not the big ones.
Yeah. So, Pro?
Unlike them, Summit is horrible. They're absolutely horrible. That's all I'm gonna say about it, with us. I'm not saying there's not something we can't work out, but it's already taken time with our deputies because they have to be in the kitchen.
Okay.
But it's not, I'm not gonna say, I know what we gotta work on next year budget. There is no way I'm gonna come to you with an increase of $170,000, $200,000 in a food cost. I'm not. I want options, though, that if they continue, if they do not do what we ask them to do, that we break the contract. At one point, yes, if they do not They, you know, around bid time, they want, oh, we'll do this, we'll do everything.
Talking about seminary trip.
Some, I would love to go to training. I'm not gonna come to you all and the commissioners and ask for that increase.
All right,
It's substantial.
so help me understand, both of you all like Summit, you say they're horrible. Tell me,
I don't think they can handle all the numbers.
you think that's the problem?
And I think there's a manager problem that they need to do something about. You know, I've got Trinity is now in Shelby, Memphis. They took over Davidson County, who also dropped Summit. Summit is handling things like Coffee County, Warren County, and things of that nature. And I really believe it's the numbers. And we've even tried to make it easy by saying, it's easier on us to have a cold meal for supper because we can get the kitchen cleaned up and be done. So that makes a huge difference. But when I brought some pictures,
Is the food, are you, is it correct to say you're saying the management?
I
or you
feel
got
it's a
the issue?
management
Is it not the
issue.
food okay?
No, it's not okay. Would you eat it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
But at the same time,
This is a management issue.
that's a management issue.
Okay.
We've never sent that out of our.
I mean, I got 3 tortillas here with peanut butter and apple jelly and carrots and applesauce.
What do you mean it's a management issue? They oversee that, and
They
they
just
should
set a
oversee,
menu, and the
okay,
menu needs to be followed.
but they don't get with you
But I
prior
want
to
y'all,
that.
some, you know, this don't look too bad. We try to do the good and the bad. But I got grown men in there,
And you're
guys.
saying you're supposed to have a certain nutrition value for
They
the
do.
inmates, and
They
that you're
use the
not.
calories though as all bread. Is how they
I
get
mean, does
paid.
that count toward nutritional value, taco sauce?
That's
That's
peanut
not-
butter
it's
and
peanut butter jelly,
applesauce, I
actually.
believe.
Peanut, okay, I got you.
So we're faced with
Where's my egg?
huge
That's the
differences.
best one.
It's over here.
Monetary, but at the same time, we want to be able to provide a decent meal to the inmates.
Yeah,
So,
we've never said that. That
so,
would never leave our food service area.
okay,
Well, how do we remedy that as a management issue?
we make the change.
But we're gonna have to work more closely. Well, and again, when you say we have to work, that means why do we hire somebody to serve our food?
That's right.
Because that's gonna bring my captains involved, it's gonna bring the new deputy chief involved, it's gonna bring more deputies in that's having to, because they don't watch over the inmates like they need to. In 4 years, we've had approximately about $130,000 worth of damage to our equipment. I've made them pay for some of it. They don't train these inmates to work that restaurant style equipment, that commercial equipment. Every time I made a complaint, they've fixed it or paid for it. Routine stuff we do, routine maintenance we do anyway, that's part of it, our maintenance does. You know, Trinity's come in with something that's hard to beat, but it's not gonna make up the 100. If I had to guess right now, next year, and put Trinity in, minimum 170, tops 200. But they're also willing to put a $240,000 cash investment into the kitchen. And anything after 5 years would belong to us, the county. They were gonna give the workhouse 50, was it 55?
And they'll also hire all of our
And they will
staff.
hire.
So either way, it's win-win for us. We
You
keep
talking
our,
about equipment?
And now that's Trinity?
Trinity is gonna hire, will hire our food service manager and our food service staff that we currently have in there that work for Summit.
Have we put a pencil to that? What,
That was
That's
part of their
what it is.
bid.
so they'll pick up their benefits as well?
They will hire them as.
And
as
they pay more.
employees.
The average pay for Trinity, food service worker is $18 an hour.
You got pictures of Trinity food?
No.
How many
I don't
workers
ha-
would
They
that-
don't serve the food.
Would that
I mean,
entail?
For us, it's one manager, 3 staff members, which is well enough for what we need.
And how many workers would that entail?
Well, I've requested 2 more because it doesn't seem that, you know, I wanted 2 more part-time. So they gave me a quote for the 6 they had, plus the food service director. And then I wanted 2 more, I think it's total 9, because I don't, the pros here for Trinity is the inmates are trained specifically on what their duties are. So on the steamers, they're gonna be trained on that. How to do the trays, how to do that. They make sure they're trained on what they're gonna do, okay? And then they watch, and they teach them. They also have a program that I like, that we're all hurting in right now, and that's food service workers. It's a 9-month program, and they get a certificate for that. It's all free. And when they leave the facility, that certificate can get them either a manager job and or food service, because they have that food safety, I think, certificate is what
And
they
Summit
call
has
it.
that also. But you just
You
got.
ain't gonna do it mine.
What kind of investment, 240,000?
The 240,000 into that kitchen, being equipment, it would be assets.
So like
Over
tilt skillet or?
anything that they thought,
I mean, we just bought a
anything
tilt
that they
skillet for
need
them.
to bring that kitchen up to their level.
Yeah, we bought a new tilt skillet and what else?
Well,
did we
that-
get you?
Tilt kettle,
Tilt
but
kettle.
it was, that was all, you know, long-term wear.
Yeah, but yeah, you're 20 years.
Yep.
I can tell you right now, we need a new freezer.
What's the difference in the yearly cost?
Like I said, for me, it would not be a $170,000, $200,000, so it's huge.
170,000
I'm
more,
doing low, high, Trinity high.
so about 170,000 more to go with Trinity.
That's the low end of it.
But they're gonna invest 240.
Why could we not invest in taking that 240 and cut it in half and hire you more people to oversee the?
Well, I feel like because they're providing the people there that are trained in it, I mean, there's you know, you go back there
I'm
during
looking at the
lunchtime
5-year
or
period.
whatever, and to me, it's chaos. And I know you gotta feed 700 inmates, it's not an easy chore, okay, I understand.
Well, and I know we don't want to provide meals like Adam's place either.
No.
You know, can't afford to do
But
that.
let me tell you, you got unhappy inmates,
We
it
want to
makes
keep
our
them happy.
staff.
Yeah, we want to keep inmates happy because it just causes less stress.
I think with me being the money person, it kills me when I see what goes in the garbage cans.
Because they just
They won't
won't
eat
eat it.
I think the problem that we've got right now is we don't have an outlet when they don't perform. We don't have any backup to go to. We've had to pull 2 of our deputies to go in there now and work, even though we've got a contract for these people. I've had the vice president of this company come down and talk to them. It was good for about a week, and then we're right back to where we are. When we went to the bid, I have 2 people show up in the parking lot, and they were gonna have this lady come in and do this and this and this. I saw her for 30 minutes, never seen her again. So they're a lot of good on promises and everything, they're not any good on performance, and that's our problem with them right now. And plus the fact we don't have a backup plan. If you don't perform, then where do you go to? The only option we've got is Trinity or something like that. We can't go back to do what we used to do and do it ourselves, because Trinity would be cheap compared, you know, what it would cost us to do it now, so. So that's kind of where we are with it right now. We're kind of hamstrung a little bit.
On the investment that Trinity said they would do, would that be an investment that we would probably need to do in the near future regardless, or?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Like I
buying a new
said, the
freezer?
freezer, the walk-in's gonna be something we'll have to address.
But it's
Well, no,
equipment you could have say in. It's not proprietary equipment to them.
No, but either way, some in our land, they get they can buy better equipment because they have a bigger pool, I guess.
They have a big buying power.
Right, than we do. I said, I truly at this point just believe it's the numbers. And I believe it's a manager, and my thing is when we go in to start talking about how we want to set this up if we take Summit, I think the sheriff and I both, and we're, and our new deputy chief is, I want a new manager. You know, but I want it out on record that in a year or so, they're continuing this. That Trinity was probably gonna be the one we pick up since we've gone through this, and they're number 2. I need for y'all to come in 90 days. Okay, because it's with cause.
I don't, yeah,
And there's usually that clause in those.
It's all in our
Contract.
contract,
but
yes.
I don't think you should wait a year.
Well, I don't, again, I know what we're looking at next year, and I really, all the things, you know, I believe the salaries right now are number 1 priority.
I get
If
that.
it was 120,000 or 100, you know, it still hurts, because even with their increase, new contract, Summit's gonna be $70,000 to $100,000 more.
Yeah, so you saw what the
And what we're
state
doing
Tennessee
now.
members, what you saw the state did this past week with just corrections, how much did they go up?
45.5, 37% increase on their starting.
So everybody at state corrections went up 37%, so that they're paying more at state corrections than what? you can hire
Their
at-
starting pay for their correction officer is higher than my starting pay for a deputy, road deputy.
So that puts us in a.
$9,000 more start than
So-
a detention officer.
Starting next month, when they start putting their budgets together, the pressure's gonna be on us to increase our salaries. So we have to be mindful of what we're spending. So I'm thinking if we go with Summit, what kind of pressure can we put on these people to get decent food?
That is gonna be, we'll have to probably interject more. And even if I have to do it, or Steve, who will take my place at one point, he might be the one that has to check the menu and make sure it's being followed, you know, and then the people on the floors will have to check the food to make sure it's not a boiled egg and 2 pieces of white bread. I mean,
And that they're not padding those numbers too, because they do an
I
approximate.
do I mean, it's so different day to day with us. I keep a good eye on that.
So we're feeding about 2,100 meals a day.
Yeah, 23 now.
23 now.
2,300.
You
We don't have a rep from Summit here, do we?
know.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
No, he's probably scared.
I mean, well, we'd like to talk to him too. We're not scared to talk to
No,
him.
no,
Well,
Yeah, that's-
I can't negotiate contracts. I put things together for the mayor, and the sheriff can sit in on it, but we're not allowed to negotiate that contract.
We can certainly ask questions.
He can certainly go, this is not, you know, we will break a contract with you. But Summit, I'll tell you now, Summit has lost more business than they've gained lately. But again, it's the smaller counties and the smaller that they seem to do well with. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's a
That-
numbers thing.
It is.
Size. Like you said, management.
Yep. I think Preval's right, we're just too big for them.
Yes, we do that.
Now they've had and still do some, throughout the United States, some really big facilities, but you just gotta have that right manager in there. That's
They do have some larger ones out of.
Out of state.
just, and I mean, our manager came from Louisiana, so, you know.
Why don't we do this? Let's just make an agreement, we'll take your manager.
Somebody got it okay, don't they?
I don't want to
I knew that was
complicate the
coming.
budget anymore, and I'm willing, I don't think the sheriff needs to have to deal with this on a daily basis, but between our deputy chief now, we haven't promoted anybody to captain yet, but once all that is said and done, it's just something, number one, I think when we go to start talking to Summit, we should request a new manager, be part of that deal. But even when I've worked these numbers 1,000, I even did used my numbers on the invoice, right? And no matter how I worked it, it was anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 more a week with Trinity. And I want Trinity, but I can't if we're gonna work on these salaries and the other things we have to have coming up,
So this
it would
is-
be hard for me to ask $200,000 more
This contract goes into effect on August 1st.
August 1st, right? And then, you know, you got 2-year pricing. We didn't do that last year, so I like that because we know either way our budgets are set.
And it, yeah, it's set, we don't have the problem like, I ended up having to throw the manager out of my office this
Right.
year.
Are you about August the 1st of next year?
No,
That-
2022.
22, yes, sir, next year.
So we lose leverage if we say we're gonna go with Summit and then try to
Well, I think
ask
that's-
questions and
I think
negotiate.
By August 1st, our year end is June 30. I think that this would give us enough time if we, my recommendation is that we can't ignore the price, especially if
It's
we're
hard.
focused on taking care of salaries. But I think this would give us enough time for us to sit down. I mean, I'm talking not just me as a purchasing agent for the county, all of them sitting there at the table and the sheriff as well. Sit down with Summit and have a clear understanding and highlight the area and give them a certain amount of time. And if they can't perform, then we're going to Trinity if the committee so desires.
When you say a new manager, so a manager that we.
It's a food service director, that's the
Okay,
name of
and
that.
they're, and the one we have now, they're over. what-
Just me, and
Just
he
us.
has his own. We can't.
And we do both juvenile and our facility.
But the food service manager from Summit, are they over like Middle Tennessee
No,
or
no,
just,
no.
just Chop?
Just
He's in my
Chop.
he's in that office every day. In fact, that's all he does. He sits in his office. Because we've looked at him.
He's not on the floor.
And we hear
He
that
sits in
you
his
guys
office
are pretty
all day.
happy with yours, or not unhappy.
But I mean, our food service manager,
She runs the place.
So they do have,
She's able.
there's an option to have a good manager if they work with you.
So with his good manager, and these Summit prices works well for those two. Yes, okay. But then it comes down to the sheriff and prep.
But you're not gonna hear me sit here and say I want y'all to increase our food budget.
Well, has
$200,000.
Trinity been approached with the potential of providing all the service? And if so,
Yes,
can they sharpen their pencil a little bit
they,
more, just the best they can do? I mean,
They bid on theirs too.
yeah, I think that's about as
that's quite a jump.
low as they're gonna wanna go.
Well, here's a thing that stood out to me too a lot. You see the pricing on, say, let's do 8 to 824. 120. Trinity's 145. And Tiger was 162. It concerns me a little bit, the difference in the number between these companies. You got two that are, yeah, you know, and I'm like, well, they want to keep our business, and that might be an incentive also, that they don't want us to break a contract, and they don't want us to sling them out the door
At the
to
same
do
time,
that.
when you throw in, we'll give you over a 5-year period, $250,000 in equipment, that doesn't come for free. That's got to be figured in.
Well, and they pay, also Trinity pay their food service director, they start at 60 a year. It's a huge difference.
So they pay higher.
And they pay minimum, their line service people that would assist our inmates are at $18 an hour.
Summit.
Summit is $12 to $14 an hour for them. I'm not for sure what
McDonald's
they pay
is
there.
paying 14 and 16.
Some of the people we have that come in there are real close to probably being on the other side of it. They might be eating the food instead of making it sometimes.
So when you, so you say you're sitting down, talking to Summit, who will you be sitting down with? The director or someone higher?
VP,
You can do the district manager, you can get the vice, I've had
I
the
got
vice
4 in
president
my
down here,
office at
so.
one time.
Last problem I had, I said, you get the vice president here, or there'll be no talks in the future. And he was there within days.
So what's wrong with the president?
Well, I didn't ask for him, Mayor. I wanted to start with.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, I wanted to start with the second
Well,
guy.
let me go, president.
But we could do that. He could,
This is really
Goes down
important.
after
Say
that.
president.
that's right.
Go to the top.
But,
Y'all can ask for
I mean, there,
president.
and you know, there've been time over the years where if we didn't have a food service director that we thought was doing a good job with them, we demanded that they get rid of them. I mean, they work for us.
That's right.
And, you know, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then get rid of them. Get me somebody in here that works. And, you know, we've had Ms. Rocker who's worked, how long now, Jason? She been there? Yeah, at least, yeah, at least 5-7 years, every day. I mean, she's here during the ice storm.
I think this gives us enough time right after the first, we can reach out after tonight, reach out to Summit, tell them they have tentatively been given the award by the purchasing committee. Give me the opportunity to get a meeting set up. I'll request the president to come down. It may be February, but we still got plenty of time to do that. We all sit down. If any of y'all want to come sit down, then you're welcome to do that too. And we put demands on them and tell them we're not going to put up with it. But if we get crap like, excuse me, if we get, crack that.
No, you got it. You're right on.
Well, you can put some on that white piece of bread and call it, what do they call it, an army on the shingle?
You don't say that?
Yeah.
That's exactly what.
But, you know, that's
SOS.
better than, you know, bread and sausage is a whole lot better than.
Well, I would rate eat the sausage gravy on the piece
I
of
would
bread.
bet at one morning for breakfast, it was all liquids. It was like this
Really?
liquidy oatmeal, liquidy applesauce.
And, you know,
I'm
and
like,
there-
no, who's gonna,
Like Trevor and I talked, there are things you could do with that right there that would make it a little more
like
appetizing.
fry it and
You know,
toast it?
I mean, it's just little things that your manager or your director, your food service director should not let that leave the kitchen like that. And
Well, based on
I've
the
yet to
pricing,
see
I
this
feel
around the
compelled that we as a county have to move forward based on this bid. But it gives us, there's enough time that we can work with them and have something right before I sign a contract.
So how long were these bids good for?
There's 2 years with 3-year extent, 1
No,
year
I'm
extension.
talking about from the time that we
To honest
accepted.
price.
Oh, they have 180 days, I think is what I wrote in here.
I'm gonna throw a motion on the table and we can kind of discuss it, just kind of get something on the table. And we can change these figures. That we have the mayor have a meeting, and you want to help me word this, okay?
Yes, sir.
Within 90 days,
Okay.
okay? And then after your meeting, we will review it after another 90 days. Or 60, you know, we can change the numbers. And then decide at that point, and they're gonna know that what we're doing.
Oh, sure.
Okay, deciding we're gonna keep them or not. And then make our decision at that point.
I still think we'll still have time to make the award.
And we can make it 60 days or maybe a meeting within 60 days.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after the meeting, another 90 days, with a big focus on, well, you know how to negotiate, but either a new manager, we don't feel like involved with win. Okay?
I'll second.
Everybody understand that motion? In a second. Any further discussion?
So is it in the language now that you feel like you have authority, you feel like you have leverage to change and move? And
It's in the leverage, the way we write the request
that's
to
what
bid.
we need to do is make
Our
sure
contracts are pretty.
we tighten that language a lot.
I agree.
And then that's what we'll do in the.
And I think that they will see, the corporate people will see the severity of, I mean, we're a large contract with them, I suppose. They want to keep
$100,000 a
us.
month from us, I don't know what they're spending.
And if they would give us a new manager, I think that would probably go a long way, because like you kept mentioning, we had a new manager. And so I think they would see the severity of it in keeping us and want to make everything right. They may not even know all the problems.
Oh, they know.
They know
They know the problem.
How you doing, man, spending them on county budgets?
Was $3,600 a week is,
It's usually
So-
around
Mine's
6 to
getting
40.
from 19 to 21,000 a week.
So we're probably talking $1.5 million.
For me, it's 1.2 million.
Okay, so we're about $2.5 million.
And I think
business
with
annualized.
with some of the contracts they've lost recently,
Mhm.
because they've had some change in management too, that they will be more than welcome to.
Okay, well, let's do that. I'm good with that.
I think y'all give us a little more, when y'all get behind what we're wanting to get done, then it allows for them to know that it's not just us. It's
Correct.
now the people that say I can spend money and where I
Yes.
spend money.
Well, sometimes the best position to be in is to allow somebody to fix a problem.
That's right.
And sometimes, instead of asking, you just have to make demands. I mean, like I said, we're paying them. We don't pay for this. You know, but every food service company buys that same, what's it called, Mayor?
On a shingle?
Yep. Every one of them buys the same product. But it's who's in that
Presentation.
food service, who's that manager that's letting this go out of there is the problem.
Well, that's
And
fair.
what they're trying to do is save money.
Well, and I get that.
But you don't do it at the expense of a riot or at someone getting hurt. You don't do that.
Not to say, it takes up time of the officers, I know for a fact, I've been there before. And it just ties up your officers that you may need somewhere else.
Yes, I totally agree.
I think I would lose so much weight if I was in jail.
No, because when
You
you
got
go
one
commissary and they make it all up through the commissary, it all
Oh,
Just get lazy.
You don't want to work the next shift after the commissary.
Now, if these were the days back when we were getting full commission on commissary, this would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because we'd be getting a lot of money from it.
you can roll that egg up in that.
Sometimes if you combine these,
It's almost a meal.
it might be a pretty decent meal.
Taco.
And I think
Okay, do we need those
peanut
pictures?
butter.
Thank you for the pictures.
Can we keep those pictures?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we'd like to have those when we have our meeting.
I'll-
I like
There's
to
a
be
whole
able to
lot of
toss it
things
out
we
and say,
can
here's
negotiate.
exhibit one.
And we've actually set a tray down in front of our district manager and said, would you eat
That's a
this?
good idea.
And I
I
didn't
like
say,
that.
Yeah.
on the shingle,
That's
but,
better than the pictures.
I'll say it.
because we keep what's called a dead man tray in our freezer. That way, if anything ever happens, you can go back and investigate was on that particular tray. We've sat down right in front of him, would you eat that? And, you know, he's like, no, I wouldn't. Well, they're not gonna eat it either. You're gonna do something about it.
Can you get the information of whose contacts we'll get all that taken care
I'll
of.
get that set up.
Get that set up and what the invitation's going to everybody.
And good breakdown here too, that was helpful.
And we'll keep the committee informed once the meeting is set, and we can come right in there and we'll sit down at this table and we'll have a nice meeting.
Thank God.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate you thoroughly.
My turn to be.
all in favor of the motion? Signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion
Hey, what about last night?
Did we set a date on that, Mayor?
Members, we have,
Make anything up.
No, I was supposed to. They was feeding the baby when you came out.
I heard that.
They divorced.
okay, next on the agenda, we have new bids for flooring for animal services at Paws. Michael he showed up last night, he's off this week for Christmas, and he asked that we take this under advisement, and we'll come back next month, correct? All right. We had 8 invitations mailed, and we received 2 sealed bids. This is on flooring for Paws building.
American Coatings.
American Coatings is the first one. Tennessee. Okay. This is putting in something similar to what we have used at Correctional Work Center and also the Sheriff's Department. We used to put in the old tile, and once that tile, the mortar joints crack, and then the inmates would come in, they have to clean up, and they have that high pressure hose, and they're washing it down after every meal. They have fun, the inmates do, seeing how many tiles they can pop with the water underneath it, and they just keep on popping the tiles up. So this is a liquid that goes down, and it'll actually come up on the sides of the sheetrock. So it's much easier to clean. It's like the new painting that they're using in garage floors.
Did we spec it like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Sounds like that roofing material.
Right, very similar.
Is it like the epoxy?
It's an epoxy.
Okay.
Are these extra?
Yes, these are extra. Those.
So,
And that's one of 8, what you said?
we only received 2 out of 8.
Received
2 out of 8.
On that second page is the price. So,
Let's check it out.
Our first price is for 5,651 square feet. It's $35,318. And that includes removal in the room with the refrigerator, the sink, the laundry hallway, the laundry room.
Don't tear up their playhouse.
It's going to take a day or two.
Intake and straight holding area, red hallway off kennels, and adoption kennel area. So basically getting all the floors.
Can you run that square foot back one more time?
Square footage is 5,651 square
Did you
feet.
see that first name?
Okay. Second bid.
it's from Titan Garage Flooring.
Titan Garage Flooring is out of Smyrna, Tennessee. Well, it's now Murfreesboro. They were, when they did the sheriff's office, they were in Murfreesboro and Smyrna. But Titan is the one that did the sheriff's office. And I believe they're the one that also did the correctional works center. After the sheriff's office was pleased, we sent them over to correctional works center. It looks like their price is $31,251.
251?
$251, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you.
Do they have a square footage written down?
Have a what?
Do they have a square footage written down?
There's,
Gee, that one too low.
5,000,
Yeah, I think I do have one copy last year.
let's see.
Okay.
5,402.
Oh, wow, that's square footage.
200, almost 250 square feet.
It would have been on the bid, wouldn't it, for the
Hang
square
on,
footage?
hang on.
Second page, maybe?
I just, customize your floor to any color combination you can dream of. 5,001 square feet.
5,001.
Tile removal is 398, crack fill is 1 linear foot.
I just want to make sure they're bidding apples to apples, especially.
Well, if we take it under advisement, I could probably vet it
Yeah.
and kind of get that.
Yeah.
But my concern, okay, is are they gonna be doing all the removal
Right.
that the American Code would do also?
Yeah, they're doing tile removal, 398 square feet, so that's what Mike will need to determine,
Yeah.
you know, how much square footage is the first one quoting.
So
I may
would
be
we,
taking under,
would we have had that in the specs of the total square footage?
Yes.
Or they did their own measurements, I bet.
Yes.
maybe taking under advisement.
Have a motion taken under advisement.
Second.
And second, further discussion. Seeing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. Next, we have EMA generator. This is an approval for an emergency purchase on the Mars Hill.
And you each have one of these with your agenda.
Director Clark, if you and Brian come table. So Lynch Hill is, we've been fighting with Lynch Hill, this generator, for a long, long time. What Director Clark has been able to work out, and we talked to, we talked to finance today. The price came in a lot higher than what we had anticipated. We did get a quote from Caterpillar and Laverne. This generator is critical for the tower. Bedford County, Coffee County, Tacking, Tennessee Highway Patrol, State of Tennessee, and us, Murfreesboro, use that tower. It's critical. This past winter, if you recall back in last February when it was a snowstorm, we had several trees that went down. We had a difficult time. We had to borrow Caterpillar to come in and bulldozer to chop up the trees and get it out of the way. It's real steep and slippery. The generator that is currently there is inside the building. This generator will be set outside the building. Back whenever this went in, what, 60s?
It's probably a early 70s, 74, 78. It's a General Motors diesel generator.
I'm sure it's exhausted
It's a-
outside.
It's a Smithsonian candidate, I promise.
They built the house around the generators. So,
We got a museum, we can put it in.
Gotta disassemble it to get it out.
because it is on an emergency basis, Director Clark has worked relatively diligently with the powers to be in those other counties and with the state. Coffee County, Bedford County is willing to kick in 25%.
I've asked them to pitch in a third of the
A third
cost
of
of
the
it. Gentleman's handshake. Now, we've had a change in EMA director since I've talked to him in Bedford County, but I did talk to the sheriff, which is the chair of the 911 board, and they're willing to do that. However, his request was to talk to the state, see if they'll do the fourth, and divide it into 25% to bring that cost down a little bit. Phone call was sent today to the state. They never returned my phone call yet. So, Peter Rogers. So, I'm trying to reach out and get a commitment from them.
I
and
forgot to
all
talk to
this.
the commissioner. I was so busy about the groundbreaking. We should talk to the commissioner about getting some help.
What's the cost? Is it,
The cost is $900. Discussed.
$96,963.
okay, so if, is it a situation where we're paying this and they
They
reimburse us?
reimbursing, and we talked to Lisa. Lisa was emphatic that this committee understands that this is not any form or fashion of a grant, or
It's just, it is reimbursing a portion of the cost.
The other
so
two
we
counties.
will advance the money for the whole thing. We can take it out of Gov 20. There's money left in that grant. And then we will wait for reimbursement from the state and the other two counties who participate off use that tower.
And so does this stop here, or do we have to send it to budget?
I think on an emergency
I
basis.
think
we
this
have
is fine, yeah, I
we
think
have
this
that
is it.
authority.
Yes, if you all sign off on this.
Okay.
And if you'll notice that we went through Sourcewell for the contract, however, the consortium issue as far as purchasing is down right now, I guess,
Yes.
per se.
We can still use the contract, but since we don't have a resolution yet, we need purchasing to say, yes, we can go ahead and use the Sourcewell contract.
No, it says price without the source code
Well, it's
contract.
109.
Yes.
So there'd be a different price there.
And for the committee's benefit, the one reason that price is up there is the logistics of the location of that site.
Trying to
It is
get
not
it done.
easy to access. It is not easy to get that device uphill, back downhill, back uphill to get it up to the top of that tower.
So we see a labor cost in that.
Absolutely. I have,
We'll provide free rides if you need.
Yeah, CH-53 drop it in.
yeah, well, 310-foot tower precludes the use of a helicopter, so. But I have, somewhat to his chagrin, massaged and squazzed and worked and made sure that we have gotten every nickel cut of fluff and anything we could out of it. I originally had included removal of that old generator, and it just went way out. And so I just had to go back and rework it again to get and come up with a different plan to place it outside, and then in the future we can work on getting that old one out.
So currently, right now, we have tapped into the Homeland Security assets from actually Canning County has a portable generator and it's sitting on Lynch Hill. Currently, we have a PO request that has been submitted, and we're waiting to get S&W over there to put in a transfer switch for that temporary generator. So in the event that something happens, we have power. Now, currently, we're relying on UPS backup until, and that can only last a few days. And so this generator, a few hours. So,
If we get into a tough event, snowstorm, anything else, so that's why we're in an emergency situation. As we get into the worst part of the
Going into
winter.
winter too.
So we're using the lone generator from Woodbury.
Again, with supply chain issues, speaking with Thompson Cat, it was, I was glad to see the Sourcewell contract that we had there allowed me to shop local for one thing, so we have a resource to go to. We're not waiting on support to come 3 hours away when we got a problem. They've done everything I've asked them to do to try to get this where we can get it done. Supply chain issues hurting them with steel. When they get it, it's 500% higher when they're trying to build them. The lead time for getting the generator puts us all the way through winter without one. We're talking probably 25 to 30 weeks once we get the purchase done before it'll actually be installed. So.
Well, Thompson down the road did very well for us. The sheriff's department in Kohler, if y'all recall, and we went ahead and moved.
I just started to say Thompson's has usually been very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Right now from you, aren't they, Karen?
Yeah. About a block.
Yes, ma'am. I'm familiar with them. I've done business with them before in other locations.
Cummings came in second out of Kohler, but Thompson stepped up and came up with the best price.
And it's a proven brand. It's been in the business a long time. It's not like some of the other brands that are out there. Kubota does a good engine, but not a good generator, in my opinion. But
That's what Caterpillar said about Kohler. They make a good tool.
yeah.
Motion to approve the Thomas.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
What makes you think I haven't heard it? Huh?
Yeah. Thompson's been around all the time too.
Girlfriend. Oh my gosh,
Members, as that's coming to you to sign off on the generator, is everyone met Adam Dodden? Everybody met Adam? He's our new director of maintenance.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
Elam Road.
Facility.
Elam Road. You're okay.
Okay, so he is replaced. Adam has been with us for quite some time.
Congratulations.
And,
Yeah,
he
he's gonna do
replaced
good.
Ben Mankin, and he's off to drinking the fire hose like every new director will. But it's been impressive, doing a good job. He wants to give us an update on the window replacement at 20 North, budget approval and warranty. I believe the budget was approved last Thursday night.
Yes, sir.
that correct? Okay. Lead time, it looks like on the window delivery is about 20 weeks.
Once the order's placed.
Once we place the order.
Yes.
Okay. There was some questions about, these are color windows. So it has a limited warranty, but the warranty is
10 years.
10-year limited warranty, all right. And I believe we did get permission this morning in the office. Steve was able to get hold of the new owner of the building that we sold, the old bank building, to get access. This company needs access to get on top of the roof of the old Birchburg Bank building to get access to the side windows on the west side.
Yes, sir.
And also on the east side will come from our attorney's office. We'll need access from their roof to get to those side windows as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're looking at lead time on the windows and 20 weeks and then 10-year warranty on the windows. All right. We need a motion.
They just wanted an update. You can have.
Yeah, it was just an update because it was passed last time night, right?
Yes.
I think we had a question about the warranty or something.
Yes.
That's
Would
what
you
we're
like
doing.
to
So
do the
this
sheet?
is just FYI of 10-year warranty if anybody wants to read it.
And I have since then spoken to the contractor, and he's brought me up to speed on it, so if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more familiar with it now.
We've got a couple windows over there that have holes in them. I mean, they've lasted, what, 30,
40 years.
40 years.
21 years.
And there's some holes, I've got paper towels or rags stuck in it. And I don't know why that was never put into the bid specs when we remodeled it. It just, I guess, trying to keep costs down. Now here we are again.
Well, buy them some new tiles and rags.
And you can go ahead and share with the committee that you're in the process of moving out.
We are, locations. We're moving into the vocational training center. That building was at 1132 Haley Road. It was state, it was a county facility that was being leased, but it was state. They're not in operation anymore. There was a couple administrative positions that were there. They're relocating those employees to another building. We're moving in there. We started that move this week.
Wow.
So it's
Except where the old
quite an
pound
undertaking.
was.
Close to
It's
the
right next-
dog pound.
Right next door.
The old
Next
dog
door,
pound.
okay.
Yes,
Well,
and
I'm
there's a
sorry,
bridge.
there's an old brickyard and then it was on the other side of that, right next to Journeys.
Yes.
Or it used to
Is
be
it
the
gonna
Rutherford
give you the
County Dog
space
Pound.
you need?
It will, yes. Yes, it will. It's a much needed space.
It's got a loading dock and
Oh,
we're
good,
looking for,
good, yeah, we definitely need
we're looking
that.
for a tow mower that we can use.
More shop space, more work, more workspace.
You'll be able to divide it up and have one little section for carpentry and then one for electrical or
Okay.
plumbing or something like that,
Yes.
where guys can
Yes.
not work on top of each other.
That's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And thank you.
All right.
For-
You're welcome. One more item, I saw today, the County Mayor's Association is working on a piece of legislation that would affect this committee. They're planning on bringing before the General Assembly, week after next, when the General Assembly goes back into session, is increasing the purchasing power for local counties. Right now, we're capped at 25,000. And counties as large as what we are, especially with the cost of items have gone up, they're going to request statewide application to go from 25,000 to 50,000. We're going to have to put that to bid.
Good.
Okay.
Well, it's 10,000.
Oh, yeah, a long time ago, yeah.
In our time it was.
Yeah. Continues
So it's
to-
currently 25, and there's a bill to move it to 50.
That is correct.
That's in all categories or departments?
Yes, sir. So that's what I read today. Okay. Anything else come before us other than the next meeting will be January the 11th, 2022. Next year. Next year. 2022. Do you think we'd ever get here, Carol?
I'll tell you a quick story. I remember when I was in 10th grade, and I was sitting next to David French here, and I said, David, you know, in the year 2000, we're going to be 35 years old. That seemed like so far.
Now you're looking in the rearview.
35, that's so old. That's so.
2022 used to be sci-fi movies. Back in the 70s and 80s.
That's when we stayed up late at night watching.
Yeah.
Anything else to come for us now? Listen, I hope we won't see you unless we see you tomorrow night in property management, but otherwise, I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Same to all you Christmas.
See you soon.
Adam, it's nice to meet you. I'm here.
I'll say congratulations tomorrow night.
You're the best.
Christmas, Ryan.
You've got your hands full.
You're the best. I can do tonight.
I recognize
Don't worry, Mac, yes,
that.
I guess we-
In your shoes.
Waiting for tomorrow.
Yeah,
Do
sure,
that,
they gonna look you up.
West
It was two of them, I'm
All our
sorry.
bets.
I was like, why is this feeling
Salvation
shoes?
Army.
I was trying to give you
They came to us and said they needed space because they don't need different places. You know, take all of it.
Number one.
Move in this current building.
You making friends over there.
And you say, well, don't take much to get to number one, and,
So nothing else come before the committee for the good of the order. We'll stand and adjourn.